So, as I continue to take you on this journey of transition with me, I think it'd be helpful to get a good understanding about some of the things that have impacted my life along the way that's really brought me to the point where I've realized that I really just want to be free to live the kind of life that I want to live on my terms. And so, one of the things that influenced where I am now is the fact that I was diagnosed with cancer on October 31st, 2012, at the age of 35, with stage 2 breast cancer. Interestingly enough, when I got the diagnosis, one of the first things that I did was I went back to the office. I went right back to work. I hadn't even let the news of that diagnosis sink in. I think in that moment, I kind of disassociated what I had heard from what was the reality of the situation that I was in. Once I had the opportunity to sit with the diagnosis, I was fortunate enough to have a friend of a friend who had just recently been diagnosed with cancer come to my home. And that's when I think I really started to deal with what I had just heard 2 days prior. One of the things that made the diagnosis so scary was my age. In that moment, and in those moments, shortly after the diagnosis, I really started to see my life flash before my eyes. Many people hear breast cancer and they think older women, but here I was, 35 years old, at the peak of my career, and here comes this diagnosis. One of the things that I ended up doing, and I was fortunate to have the ability to do, was leave Ireland to receive my cancer treatment care in Chicago. And so for the next 2 years, I would be on a journey of not only battling and fighting cancer, but really healing the effects of having had the cancer and now coming out the other side of surviving the cancer. Although there is cancer treatment services available on Ireland, if I wanted to receive some of the best care in the country, I did have to travel to do that. So every 3 weeks, I would get on a plane and I would go to my oncology hospital and I would receive my chemotherapy treatment. Each of those treatments actually took about 8.5 hours. And from the time those treatments were over, I had a very small window to get back on island. I had about a 2 to 3 day window to get back on island before the effects of the chemo would hit me, whereby I would be incredibly ill for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. At the end of those 2.5 weeks, I would then get on the plane and go do it all over again. One of the, fortunate things for me during my cancer treatment process was that whereby I thought I had 6 treatments of chemo, because the chemo did work so well, I ended up having only 4 treatments. And so once the lump started to disappear, I then proceeded to have a lumpectomy where they took out all of the cancer tissue and was able to test my lymph nodes in that area to see if there was any more existing cancer. And by February of 2013, I was considered cancer-free. And by February of 2013, I was considered cancer-free and proceeded to do one more round of treatments that included radiation treatment. For the radiation treatments, I actually had to move to the States for about 6 weeks because those treatments happen every single day for about 20 minutes. After completing radiation in the summer of 2013, I really was not prepared for what life would look like having battled cancer for the past year. And so coming off of being told that you are okay now, You can go out and live life as normal. I wasn't prepared for the fact that I really hadn't dealt with the fact that I actually had cancer. I sort of went into survival mode and doing all the things that needed to be done in order to fight the battle, but really hadn't processed what had just happened to me. And so coming off of being told I was okay, everything is back to normal, you can go on now, I found that I really went into a period where I was experiencing high anxiety, whereby even though the cancer was gone, every time there was an ailment or an ache in my body, I would go right back to that moment, right back to thinking that the cancer was back. During that period, one of the things that I ended up doing was seeking therapy to work through the emotions of now being a survivor. What does life look like after that? How do I come out of this place of angst and anxiety so that I can, in fact, figure out how to live a good cancer-free life? Going through that process for 2 years really also helped me to sit with getting a better handle on what it is, what would life look like if I did come through this, what is it that I wanted to do, how would I want to live life, and really all of that was gearing up to where I am now, which was, it really planted the seed in me whereby I knew that I wanted to have a period of my life where I was living freely, living on my own terms. That was a catalyst for me starting to get very clear about what steps I needed to put in place in order for me to transition to a place in my life where I would be free, I would be able to do all the things that my heart dreams of.